If there's one thing you take away from this transfer window that you have to take away from this transfer window is nobody really does actually know what's going on. It is unbelievable when it comes to West Ham and transfer news, and it is unbelievable to think that we have done the business that we have done. But it's also rather exciting, and it's definitely an exciting prospect. We expect players heading out the door. I've already done shows yesterday about the potential exits. We'll talk about them in the Hammers headlines again because there's been some developments, but also apparently now there's been even more developments on the Tammy Abraham uh, chase, you could say. And apparently, I mean, listen, people are saying, and this is kind of originated from a football insider and journalist, Nicolo Schira, who is stating that West Ham are really close to a deal for bringing Tammy Abraham from Roma to West Ham in what we believe is a loan with an obligation to buy the player. Supposedly a deal for around about 19 million euros could be the deal to bring him in if the obligation is an option. Now, I, listen, if West Ham want the player, then so bloody be it. I mean, we've already discussed his age. Age is on his side. He's 6'4". He's a big, solid striker. The biggest concern I've got is his injury problems that he has had over the past couple of years, in particular the cruciate ligament damage he did get back in June of 2023, which kept him out of 40 matches for Roma in Serie A. He then went on to make 12 appearances, mainly as a substitute for the final couple of months of the season, scoring a goal and an assist as well. But he has and is relentless in front of goal. We've seen how many goals he's scored over his career wherever he has played. He does know how to find the back of the net. It's an interesting one because wherever you look, people are reporting that this deal is close to happening. So the question I'm going to ask you is, what do you think? Are you happy about this potential deal if it does happen? Nicolo Schira has said he's one step away from West Ham on loan with an option to buy, which will become an obligation upon reaching certain conditions. The contract would be until 2029 to bring him in. Again, do you know what? If fit, it's a no-brainer, but the issue is, and I don't know if we should be judging players on them having a cruciate ligament damage, because does that mean that their career's done? And there's no evidence to state at all in the modern game that when players suffer bad injuries like that, that their career is done. It doesn't necessarily mean that. I think it just puts the fear of God into West Ham when we think of players that are injured, because we've got a long history of having terrible injury records with players. But what we have got is squad depth, and we're building that squad depth. And if you bring Tammy Abraham in and you've got Füllkrug there, then I expect players to head out. If Antonio's going to stay and Ings, for example, heads out, Cornet, for example, heads out, then looking at our squad depth on paper with Füllkrug, Abraham, and Antonio as our options going forward is definitely something that would send the fear of God into opposition alongside all the other players like Bowen, Kudus, just to name a few, Paquetá, Somerville, you name it. It definitely does send the fear of God into opposition teams. So it's something to keep an eye on. There obviously is something in the story. I know that Claret and Hugh went to their sources, and their sources had said that there's no truth in the Raheem Sterling story, something about wingers, but not necessarily covering strikers. So that left that story for it to be open. But like I said, there are many a story now in the mainstream media reporting that West Ham are close to bringing Tammy Abraham into the club. On the basis of that, what do you think? I mean, the player has won a lot over his career at several clubs. I think if that injury hadn't happened, then I think West Ham fans would be all over it. But hindsight's a wonderful thing. It doesn't necessarily mean it will happen. It's just a case of finding out, will the deal get carried forwards, and actually will he become a West Ham player? But like I said, just go and search his name in the internet and you'll see it. Listen, I'm going to rate this one. I'm going to rate this one quite high, to be honest with you. A loan with an obligation. covers our expenses for next summer. Means we're obviously going to tie him up and tie him into a deal if we do it. But I expect players to go. To be honest with you, would I want Tammy Abraham over Danny Ings? With all due respect, yes, I would. 6'4", big centre forward, knows how to play down the flanks, knows how to play up top, knows how to hold on to the play, knows how to beat a defender. And like I said, his goal scoring record speaks dividends for himself, scoring well over 150 goals in his footballing career. He knows how to find the back of the net. I get the concern behind some fans when they hear of a link like Tammy Abraham, because I think people think it's, especially playing abroad with his injury, his career's done. But the player, like I said, just scored 160 goals in his career with 42 assists. With 42 assists. So he has got 202 goal contributions in 360 games over his full career, which is a very, very, very good stat. This season, he's got one performance in Serie A. So far, it's only the start of the season. Last year, he played 8 games in Serie A due to his injury, scoring 1 goal with 1 assist. His best return in Italy with Roma was in his first season there, 21-22, when he scored 17 goals, 4 assists in 37 games in the Serie A, scoring 9 goals in the Conference League of that season, 1 in the Italian Cup. Obviously, then picking up an injury and has struggled to kind of gain a little bit of form. He played 38 Serie A games in 22-23, scoring 8 goals and 4 assists as well. But interesting, will he come back to England and be West Ham's new centre forward? Let me know in the comments, as we'll be back for the Hammers headlines. Take it easy and come on, you Irons.